Hi, this is me Vanshika.
Hi, this is Kushi Kriplani.
So today in the series of podcast, we have Mrs. Purbi Mehta ma'am. She's an educator, soft skill trainer, teachers trainer, and author of many award-winning novels.
Hi, ma'am. It's so good to have you here. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me, and it is equally good for me to be with you today.
How are you feeling today? Is it,
Oh, great, excited.
is it your first time being in a podcast?
Yes, a podcast setup, yes, for the first time. Interviews I've given earlier before.
Okay, that's great. So, ma'am, I would like to know that parenting in today's generation is different from earlier. So, in your opinion, what challenges do modern parents face today and how they should adapt with it?
Parenting is a difficult task, come what may, any time for humanity. It is a 24/7 duty, and it is very difficult to be a good parent. But talking about today's time, like you asked, digitalization has made it extremely difficult right now. So, talking about the differences, what the parents went through earlier and right now, because of this digital age, the challenges have changed. Creating a balance between the family time, the educative time, then the digital aspect of the whole thing, the parents go through a lot of challenge. And the same thing creates another issue for parents is that they don't have a reference point. Now, they lack a reference point in two senses. One, we'll take a reference from the past. Like, you must have heard people saying, or you must have read a quote about history, that if you don't know history, you are doomed to repeat it. That's what they say. So, many a times, students like you have this thought in mind that why are we even studying history? Like, how is it going to help us? But history helps a lot. So, I'll connect that point over here. So, reference from past is if the current scenario would have been a common story from decades ago, then the current parents would have had a reference that when there is a digital world, how to do the parenting well, what is the kind of challenge the parent and the child is facing, how to support them. There would have been a reference, which is not right now. And talking about the reference point in the future, now because you don't have a reference of the past, you don't even know how it is going to end up in the future. So the parents are, currently going through this challenge. They want to help the children a lot. Which parent wouldn't want to? But they lack information. And then there is a third challenge, which I think every parenting age has gone through, but hardly anyone has paid attention to is parenting the parent. Or rather, I would say, support system for parents, however you want to put it. But in the past, in the historic times, when there were huge joint families in the Indian setup, especially, that did not turn out to be a negative aspect as much. But now in the nuclear setup, it has become very prominent. So, yeah, to adapt with it, they have to learn new ways. They have to become open to learning from others who have probably had, better experience or they are elder to them, and reading books and especially podcasts like what you are doing right now for them. So it is they have a lot of support system. They have to avail it.
So, ma'am, like you say, that due to digitalization, many things have changed. So, currently, I am being a student, but as being a Gen Z, I am like very relatable. Due to social media, we face some peer pressures and we get discouraged, demotivated. So, what should a parent do to build a resilience instead of making a demotive point of view for their children towards them?
So see, very nice question. Failure is something that is not very easily taken in our, homes or so to say the Indian setup. We will have to first understand, especially the parents, the children will understand through the parents, that failure is a part of the journey. How and where can we come across an example in any aspect or era of humanity where there has been success without failure? Will we get any such story? No. In fact, all great stories have number of failures included in them. So parents will have to first digest this fact that my child will also fail. And it is totally okay. So they will have to come to terms with watching their, in Hindi, if you put it the jigar ka tukda that the parents feel, you know, like my flesh and blood. They will have to accept they are going to fail, and then they will have to teach their children, educate them that it is okay to fail. Failing is not the end of the story. And when I say fail, I don't only mean the marks or, you know, the numbers you can see on your result or the report card. I mean every aspect. Suppose that child tried to create a creative drawing for the first time, could not do it. So even that is a small little tiny failure. How we respond at that time as a parent decides how much resilience, courage the child will have. Because if the reaction is, oh, इतना नहीं हुआ तुमसे, you know, that kind of reaction, या तुम इतना इसने किया उसने किया, comparison. So there are so many things where, you know, parents will have to change the way they probably have seen other elders do in the past. So first, educate the child, digest that failure is fine, educate them that failure is a step, it is a part of the journey, and that is how support them. Stand with them. Whenever they fail, it is totally okay. You know, just telling them that it is okay to fail. But then when they actually go through the process, you also have to stand with them. You can't just say that it is okay to fail and then make a face and walk away the day the child actually faces failure. So they will have to walk the talk. A major challenge that we see, you know, in so many households is when it comes to parenting, what they say or what they teach does not always match with what they are doing. So they will have to bridge the gap.
Succeed, so they will come to failure which you get.
Yeah, of course. Every failure teaches us something. And if there is a small, tiny failure, like could not create a painting or could not achieve some sort of a sport achievement or something, then it will at least teach you to stay resilient. So there's always a learning. They will have to communicate that.
Beautiful answer. Very beautiful. What challenge did you face while parenting, and what did it taught you?
Okay. This is a very a question that takes me back in 2019. My daughter had selected, you know, a medical field to study. It was her choice because as parents, we were very clear that our child will study whatever she wants to. We will never enforce anything. So she chose, I want to prepare for NEET, and she started doing it. She was doing it very well. She was working extremely hard for 2 years. Now in 2019, some date of the month of May, 24 hours before the NEET examination, she sits beside me and tells me I don't want to be a doctor anymore. So at that moment, it was like earth-shattering for us as parents. Because since 2 years, we had, you know, all the dreams, aspirations, all the plans, everything around it. So at that time, it was very challenging to do multiple things. The first, remain calm. Second, remind ourselves that we had decided that she is going to take a career that she likes. So at that moment, you know, it was very easy to say, नहीं तुझे करना पड़ेगा. इतना लाइन ही बोलना था, पर वो लाइन अंदर रोक के रखना was extremely difficult, you know, seriously. And then the third thing, I knew one thing for sure, being in the field of education for so many years, that someday down the line in the future, no matter what she chooses to do, but someday somebody will tell her कि डर गई थी नीट से, इसीलिए छोड़ दिया. So I never wanted her to feel that pain ever in the future. So I had to convince her within those 24 hours to give the NEET just for the sake of it. And thankfully, she agreed. She understood my point of view. She gave it. She cracked it. She became eligible for a government college, but she did not do it because she didn't want to do.
She had your support at the.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was very difficult to do that at that time.
Obviously, each and every kid nowadays, a second grade kid also has a phone. Sometimes parents check it, and we kids don't like it's like they are invading our privacy. So what should a parent do that it doesn't invade the child's privacy, but still makes it good for them, that they are not using it wrongly, or they are not misusing the phone or any kind of digital devices they have. So what a parent should do to handle this situation?
See, in this, they'll have three ways to handle this. One is the trust between the parent and the child, the transparency and honesty, sharing has to be so high that the child is always sharing and showing the parent for what I'm using the digital device. You know? So this is one way. Now, how to get there? That is something the parent will have to do from the start. Okay, in case any parent who is listening and they are dealing with a kid who is already a teenager, and they would be wondering, so how do we do it? Start wherever you are, start whenever you like this concept. The only thing is, it will be a little difficult to earn the trust from your child now, but you can always start and you can reach there, get there. So that is one way. The second way is co-viewing. Co-viewing is when the kid is very small. Since that time, as you mentioned, the second standard also has a phone, right? So teach them this concept that I'll sit with you, let's watch it together. Maybe the child is not going to watch everything with the parent, but they start getting comfortable sharing the screen, right? So that is the second thing they can do. And the third and the best thing to do is give them something else in the same device. Like, for example, suppose if a child has a habit of watching cartoons on YouTube, okay, now that is fine, it is okay. But then you also want the child to listen to a rhyme for an example, say if it's a senior KG kid, or say the elder kid, you want the child to pursue some course, some online course, which is going to develop a skill for the child. So hand them something which will interest them in the same device. Automatically they are going to reduce focusing on things which are just distracting, and they are consuming it for no sake.
Okay, so according to you, how do you handle your mental and emotional health besides being a parent and an individual? Because in today's world, it's very difficult to manage both, to maintaining your individuality and also being a parent at the same time. So how do you do that?
I think I'll answer this based on what I have done as a parent, because that is what I know better. So from the start, as I said, we always paid attention on developing a trustworthy relationship. We had it very clear that walk the talk. And, we created this small method when our kid was very small, that whenever we have to tell her something, that ये नहीं करना है, या ये करना है, या ये करेंगे तो ये होगा, या if you achieve this, we'll do this, whatever, some sort which is a promise, which is going to happen in the future. So we started using the term promise. We said, if this happens, then this outcome is a promise. We will do it. So initially, she would ask us 10 times, like, Sachi, you'll do this, you do this. Very small, 1.5 year, 2-year-old kid. So we started instilling this idea that जब भी parents के मुंह से promise निकला, वो चीज़ हो रही है. And we maintained that throughout. It was very tempting to use the word promise every time, but we made sure we did not overuse it, and we made sure that whenever we used it, we fulfilled it. So now what happens because of this? The trust level is super high. The understanding becomes very high. So, as you asked, that when we need an emotional, space, I would say, we are able to communicate that very clearly. And the child can understand. I personally believe, from my experience of dealing with the teenagers for so many years, that kids are extremely sensitive. They are very smart. They understand everything and they know everything. The problem is, only the parents cannot see that. They believe, बच्चों को क्या समझ में आएगा? It is not like that. They understand everything. एक बार share करके तो देखो. Tell them what you're going through. Tell them what you need. But all of this will work only if you are walking your talk. If you have that trust-based relationship. A small example to, suppose I'm sitting with my kid, say in the house. Someone calls me, I'm supposed to go for a meeting. Someone calls me and I'm like, हाँ मैं रास्ते में हूँ, बस यहाँ पे ही हूँ, 2 मिनट में आ जाऊँगी. Now, this is a lie. So, what is the message that I'm giving my child? So, if I have this habit and one day I sit beside my kid and tell her that, okay, I have, this trauma right now, or I have this pressure, or I have this stress, how is she going to believe me? Because she's seen me saying that, I'm 5 minutes mein aa rahi hu, while I'm sitting at home. So, every small, tiny thing matters. So when we start building that relationship, it will be easy to communicate. So there is no stress creating a balance then. It is very easy. The child will help you get some me time for you.
So it is like one home. A child is always having two houses, no? One is the with parents and the other is school. So I would ask that what should school and parents together do to make child better and make him or her that confident that he or she should trust the parent and have a transparency which you told they should have with parent. What are the things we should or school should give with parents to make that trust?
Again, a very good question. Currently, these two very special places for every child, as you mentioned, two homes, are so disconnected. There is a lack of trust. There is a, kind of a big gap between these two institutions right now, home and school. So the first step, we have to create communication. We have to bridge the gap. The parents and the school has to come together by increasing communication. Now, you wonder what is communication here. So the communication here would be having more of parent-teacher meetings or having more of parent sessions. So when I say session, it is not a coaching always. It can be sharing with the parents what is the school planning, what is the school doing, what are the places where they aspire that the parents are going to support and stand up for the school or understand the steps taken by the school. And similarly, school should also have a listening ear about the concerns that they face at home. So when this communication will start, it will take time, of course, because currently it is in a bad state. But once this starts, if it is built, the communication is built, I'm sure there is going to be a wonderful solution waiting for us ahead, because this will, create space for dialogue. And the second thing that we require, this is something that I'm sure school is doing. Parents will have to do more. But at both the ends, you have to maintain respect for the other home. What happens is, suppose I have a kid coming home from school and telling me, "Aaj to aisa ho gaya, aaj to waisa ho gaya, main ye pareshan hu." And then if I'm sitting at home and criticizing the school, the system, the teachers, and the steps they have taken, how do I expect my child to complete that homework or prepare for that exam or respect that teacher and respect the school? How can I expect that? I cannot. Because I did not respect any of it in my conversation with my child. So the first thing the parents will have to change is learn to respect the school, the teachers, the system, and the steps the school is taking. And then the same goes for the school. That school will also have to maintain a respect in their dialogue with the children for parents and home. Which, as I said in the starting, probably school is doing more of it than what parents should be doing. But yes, this has to, teachers, as in the school, and the parents have to become one single team. The day this happens, the children will fly. Because they have these two major pillars in their, growing up age, home and school. When these two are fighting, how do we expect the child to become independent and fly high in career? It's not possible.
A doubt arise to me. It was like when we go to a parent-teacher meeting, we often see that a teacher is criticizing or complaining about the child and parent is listening. No solution comes out, nothing comes out, and parent goes home and slaps the kid or scolds the kid. So this also makes a wrong kind of way for teacher or a parent, like they are just listening, they are not talking. Like if the student could also be right at some point and teacher could also be wrong, no?
Absolutely.
So parents should have that. So I had that doubt ki when parent teaching meeting occurs, most of the time it is always like complaining, listening, and going home and scolding.
I agree this is happening, and this is the reason nobody, as in children, they don't want to attend the parent teacher meeting. They don't want their children, their parents to come and attend. So I'll give you this example. Like I've been associated with an institute for teaching for so long. So I used to handle the PTMs and all. But there are other teachers who will play a role, right? So often there has been a case, the backbenchers, they'll come one day before the PTM. मैम PTM कौन लेगा बताओ, आप लोगे तो मैं मम्मी को बताऊंगा. सो आई वुड आस्क देम कि मैं नहीं लूँगी अगर तो क्यों नहीं आ सकती मम्मी. सेट पागल हूँ मैं, घर जाके पिटाई हो जाएगी. सो अगर आप नहीं लेने वाले हो, मैं घर जाके ये बोलूँगा कुछ इम्पॉर्टेंट नहीं है, मत जाओ. Because the message reaches the parent directly that you have a PTM. And agar aap le rahe ho, then I'll bring my mom. So now why is this difference? Because as you said, the teachers only complain. But tell me, show me any one person in this world who has only bad qualities. No one. Not possible. So how can you even assume that a child has only bad qualities? A child has done only bad things. That same child must have done something good. The problem is we don't look at it. So that is a role the teacher will have to fulfill. Even the parents will have to do this. Parents are also like, in front of relatives, in front of teachers, or in front of, other elders. मेरा बच्चा ये करता है, मेरा बच्चा. Arey, you are not supposed to say the bad things, negative things in public. Those are to be communicated personally. So it is not that I did not, tell those children that तुमको ये चीज़ बदलना है, you have to get better at this, you have to get. But I communicated that in person. I did not say that in front of anyone else. So this is something we will have to do. जो गलती है, share it in person. Whatever good they have done, share it in a mic in public in front of everyone and let them get the applause for that. That is what will build the trust. That is what will create an environment for people to share. Because the minute the parent comes and if the teacher has complained, the parent is gone into a zone, where first they start feeling guilty. My child has done something wrong. Parents also care. It is not that parents are always wrong. So they also care that, oh my God, my child has done something wrong. So that guilt kicks in immediately. Then second step, they will try to find out a defense. And while all this process is going on, they have lost the direct, complete connection with what the teacher is actually trying to communicate. So instead, if we can have a positive environment, listen to good things from each other, and then discuss the negatives, how to solve. That should be the dialogue. यहाँ पर अभी क्या हो जाता है that, okay, this kid ये गलत है, that kid वो गलत है. We end it there. We also have to come up with a solution. Help each other. That is when things will become easy.
Okay, so what is the most important habit that you wanted to inculcate in your child during their school years?
Oh, again a wonderful question. Reading. One word, reading. So we did that for our kid with all the toys, the thousands of toys that parents, get for their kids. We always made sure we had different sizes of books. So she had no idea. She was like 4 months, 6 months. She would use it, do something like this with it, play with it, throw it here and there, treat it like a normal sponge toy. But she had an idea that there is something like this, rectangular, square, and you can flip it. That is how you introduce the concept from the start. And then eventually start introducing reading from it. Then there are so many variety of books available in the market. But reading is one quality which will build so many other amazing qualities in the child along with skills. So reading is one thing you need to introduce at a young age.
I would say that I have a younger brother. We try, but he does not. It's okay. So continuing that, I would say that I have a younger brother, as I told you. So he's very like, when he wants to eat, he needs a TV. When he wants to sleep, he needs Cocomelon. When he wants to study, he needs something that is distracting him. Everything nowadays is distracting kids mostly. Gadgets, phone, and etc. So how a parent should control it, but also use it in a smarter way to make a child more developed and develop the personality of the child.
So see, we'll just elaborate based on the example you gave, that suppose when he wants to have food, he wants to have TV in front of him. So initially, the child is not going to agree if you don't give the TV, right? Because currently he's into the habit. So let the habit stay, be there, plan something else. Say you want to start introducing the reading habit. Have a storybook with you, sit in front of the TV, and then let the TV run, but you start narrating a story. Keep showing that book which has got pictures. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, he's not going to pay attention. But slowly, if the story is interesting, if your style of narration is good, then 50% interest will start developing. Half of the time the child is looking at the TV screen, half of the time he's looking at you, listening to the half of the story, and then he'll probably come and ask you to narrate the story again because he paid only half of the attention. But do that. So changing a habit is very difficult. There is this one quote which some great person has written, that it is extremely easy to build strong children, but very difficult to repair broken adults. It is such a good thought, how beautifully the person has written, that when they are very small, we need to inculcate good habits. It's easier to do then, rather than repairing them later. And there is also another quote which goes, catch them when they are young.
So, ma'am, what do you think? How can parents encourage their children to express their feelings more? How can they create a safe space for their children? Because in today's world, Gen Zs, teenagers think that, oh, if we have a problem, we'll go to someone, a stranger or a friend, and we'll ask for advice. Rather, they should come to their parent for advice, for a better advice. But usually they don't do that. How can parents create a safe space for their children?
Again, there are two major things they can do. One is they will have to be easygoing with, whatever is being shared with them. So in other words, they will have to be non-judgmental. Don't judge your own child. So that is of course going to be very challenging, because you have to strike a balance between being a friend in that zone at that time, also being a parent. You will always have to fulfill the duties of being a parent. So it is going to be challenging, but you will have to become non-judgmental. So give them space to share. Don't pass comments when they are sharing. Let them finish their side of the story. Let them share everything. Don't snap. Because snapping is like, if the parent loses their temper, if the parent uses harsh words, even if they don't lose temper, but the reaction comes out in harsh words, the child is never coming back to you. So reaction of the parent is one important factor. And the second thing, parents will, if the child has taken the first step of coming and sharing small little thing also, the parent can share their own story. So that will make the entire experience very, very relatable. And it is like, the child will feel, okay, ye log bhi mere jaise hai. Otherwise for the child, the parent is on a pedestal. So for them to, realize that it is okay, even they were small at some point in time, even they went through something, even they made mistakes, even they had failures. So that human aspect, that relatability, the parent will have to bring by sharing the honest experiences, whatever they've gone through, the challenges they have faced, how they overcame. And that is when the child will open up. And next step, once they've opened up, the parent has learned how to handle, that timing that the child is ready to share and everything. Then try to help them with solutions. But solutions that are, comfortable for the child. Like for example, suppose your child had a fight with the best friend, or, fight in the group, or some sort of a heated discussion or something. And the child comes home and vents it out in front of the parents. So if the parent is listening very nicely, calmly, अच्छे से, all good, all the good things, tick, 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 done. And then the solution is, बस उससे बात मत करो. That is not going to be a solution. So solution will be creating empathy, teaching the child that let us have empathy. Maybe he or she is going through some tough time. So creating that possibility, benefit of doubt, possibility scenarios, and then coming to a solution which will be comfortable for the child to adapt, to follow, to accept. So that the parents will also have to, develop.
Next would be like exams, obviously, like boards, NEET, 12th boards, UG, PG, everything creates a pressure or stress on the child. Obviously, it is like very stressful. Exam hai, kal exam hai. Maybe I should quit studying. Maybe I should stop doing exam hai. Main kya karu? And if it's the end time study, we are all gone in the end time study situation. So what a parent should do to make their children calm at that moment कि it's okay, बच्चा हो जाएगा आगे. What a parent should do to do that?
See, last minute pe, if you're talking about the last minute stress and anxiety that the child goes through, that only happens if the initial months the child has not done the right things. Okay, so last minute the parents can only say it is okay, fine, don't worry. But that is not going to suffice. Actually, the work has to be done from the start. So at any point in time, say any age group the child is in. But the parents have to understand multiple things here. First, I totally agree marks are very important. We all know that. Degree, your qualifications, your exams, everything is extremely important. But I've always been telling my children all these years that remember you are not your marks. Very important to understand. So, personality of a child and the achievements of a child are different. What happens is, whenever there are challenges, less marks, less scoring, challenged exam stress, tension, the child's personality and the achievement becomes one in the eyes of the parent and the eyes of the child. But that is wrong. बच्चा जो भी है, उसकी जो personality है, whatever values your child is carrying, that is never going to change. Even if the child does not clear the exam, the qualities of that child do not change. Only the effort the child put for that exam has been different. If that is not in line with your child's personality, not in line with a good career, we have to try and make the child understand that you are what you are not your marks. But marks are important. Why they are important, we will have to tell them that. So we have to make them aware, like this is one very common, dialogue or scenario you also must have heard from your friends sometime, that 10th के marks का क्या करना है, वो matter नहीं करता. 12th के marks से admission होता है ना college में, so 10th is okay. But now we need to make these children aware that when you fill up your PhD form, my daughter just did last month, the first place where you insert your academic achievements is 10th standard marks. You've done your 10th, you've done your 12th, you've done your graduation, you've done your post-graduation. Now you're applying for PhD, but it starts from 10th standard marks. So that day, how are you going to feel? Writing that percentage there. Decide what you want to feel that day. This is the awareness we will have to give them because they don't know. How will a 9th standard or a 10th standard child or any other child younger than them would know that this is going to happen in the future? They don't know it. We have to educate them. We have to tell them, and whatever we expect them to do, give a reason. Like we have followed that. So if I want my child to be honest, I justify that. Why is my demand for honesty justified? I have to justify every demand I put in front of my child. If I don't have a justification, then I cannot demand. So that will help create a very good filter, So make your child understand that why you are asking them to do this. And this will create a very good learning habit, study, academics will fall into place. If they understand why they are doing it, they will do it. So then the last minute stress and pressure will never come. And stress comes from lack of preparation, but pressure comes from the way we behave and react. We, as in the parents and the social circle around us. So why compare? If we can tell our children that I don't compare you, neither with your own sibling, elder or younger, nor with anyone else, that famous dialogue from multiple movies, Sharma ji ka beta ye, Sharma ji ki beti ye. Why are we doing that? Again, there is a quote which says that comparison is a thief of joy. So true. Why do you want to compare? Every individual is an individual. That is the term. They are individual, they are unique. Let them be. So everyone has got different skill set. No two people are going to score the same marks out of the same question paper, despite being in the same family, despite having studied with the same teachers. Otherwise, everyone would have been a topper, or everyone would have been, a failure. Yeah. But they are individuals. So give them that space, make them understand why studying in advance is good, and they'll never reach that situation.
Yes. So, how can a parent stay calm when their child is misbehaving or not listening to them in general?
So, you know what happens? We get angry, or we yell, or we say things that we shouldn't, only when we are hurt or we are scared. These two things will trigger a reaction of that sort. So now what happens? Let us imagine my child is standing in front of me, and if she starts yelling or saying things that she shouldn't or I wouldn't want her to say, if I snap, because मैं तो बड़ी हूँ, मैं तो मदर हूँ, मैं पेरेंट हूँ, तो हाउ डेयर यू टॉक टू मी लाइक दैट, और मैं उससे ज़्यादा आवाज़ करके चिल्ला दूँ, तो उसके अंदर जो भी ट्रिगर पॉइंट था ऑफ हर्ट, ऑफ फियर, वो ट्रिगर पॉइंट तो वैसा का वैसा ही रहेगा. उसका सोल्यूशन तो कभी नहीं आएगा, बिकॉज मुझे पता ही नहीं चला, मैंने आगे सुना ही नहीं कि what is troubling her. So the first thing the parent needs to do is stay calm and stay quiet. Let your child finish saying whatever they are saying. And stay aware. They can probably start deep breathing if it is a difficult thing to do, staying calm and quiet. You can deep breathe. The parent can deep breathe. But pay attention on every word that the child is speaking, even when they are upset and angry. Those are all, points which are like keys. They will open those locks which are there in the mind and heart of your child. So then sit and think. Let them finish their ranting, their whatever flow they have. Let the child finish with it. Then the second thing, first being calm and listening. Second, go and hug your child. Because understand that they are yelling at you only because they don't have an option. And this is that same child you love so much. When that situation happens, why do we forget that we love that child so much? And what makes the parent think that the child is enjoying this? जब बच्चों के पास ऑप्शन नहीं होता है ना, this is what happens. जब कुछ ऑप्शन नहीं होता है. No child is ever going to behave like this with a parent without any reason. So imagine कि कितना बड़ा reason होगा कि वो बच्चा upset हो रहा है आपके सामने. So then go and hug that child, sit with him or her, ask them what happened. तूने ये चीज़ें बोली, please मुझे समझाओ क्या हो रहा है. Okay, so this is one thing. And one more activity, I think probably many parents have learned doing that, apologizing to the child. We do make mistakes, right? Even I have made mistakes as a parent, and everyone does. We all are humans. But I don't know who taught parents that you cannot go and apologize to your child. Like how? Everyone is a human. So if you made a mistake, हम किसी अजनबी को तो अपोलोजाइज कर देते. गलती से धक्का लग गया तो उसको तो जानते भी नहीं है वो कौन है. Even then we are okay with the idea of saying, oh sorry. But why can't a parent say that, oh I'm sorry to a child? वही child जिसको आप इतना प्यार करते हो, उस मोमेंट में कैसे भूल जाते हैं? जिसके लिए आपको ये दुनिया भर का शॉपिंग करके देना है. You know, your child is asking, I want iPhone, you want to get an iPhone. Your child is asking for a trip, you're getting a trip. So at that moment when the child is upset, when they need you to remember you love them, that is the moment you forget it. So there are many parents who have learned that we should, okay, ठीक है, I'm sorry. But it should not be mechanical. वो अंदर फील होना चाहिए पेरेंट्स को भी. And how are you going to make the child understand that आपको feel हो रहा है? You will have to give a reason that, you know, or explain why you are saying you're sorry. ऐसा क्या किया आपने जो आपको सॉरी बोलना पड़ रहा है? Explain, accept it in front of your child and then ask them to share what they are going through. And उस conversation के end में अगर वो बच्चा सॉरी नहीं बोले, so then I'm ready to, you know, take back my words, but this is never going to happen, I'm very sure. The child will end up, you know, sharing, crying, and apologizing for whatever ranting or, you know, upsetness the child created because they did not want to, it happens.
So lastly, it would be like, what are the tips a parent should get that for transparency, for the trust building, and like what modern parents should know कि भाई children is seeing too much phone, you know that you can cut it off, like you said कि reading books, narrating it, and what more could it be like कि fun connecting activities जैसे हम भी है, but we are now a bit adult compared to the small ones, so activities which can connect us to our parents, or my elder sisters, elder brothers could connect to their parents, because adults mostly don't talk to their parents much. When you get to a certain age, we then talk, but now we are like parents है, ठीक है, कुछ बताएंगे, वो डांटेंगे, we will listen and that's over. तो ऐसे parents उनको ऐसी क्या tips देनी चाहिए which you would like to give कि भाई अपने बच्चे को कैसे ऐसे समझे या ऐसी activities करे जिससे वो हमें समझ सके, हम उनको समझ सके.
So see, like you said, कि बच्चे बात करने जाने से पहले यही सोचते हैं that ऐसा बोला तो डांट तो नहीं पड़ जाएगी. So the parents haven't been able to create that comfortable space of conversation. That is why this is happening. So parents will have to take these steps which we already discussed, that build the trust in your child. Create your own understanding, develop your own understanding that your child loves you a lot. Now, I'll give you this example. As I said, you know, in the starting, I've conducted a lot of PTMs. So I always had this idea that, okay, not every child is very excited about a PTM and getting the parent and all. And I came across so many cases, so many, n number of cases where, you know, the parent has come or the child has come and there is a lot of complaint and they're sitting in front of me and they are blaming each other. Majority cases, the parent needed counseling, okay, rather than the child. So I had learned that the parents are unable to see the gem they have in their own house. So I started with one activity where I was aware next month if I'm having a PTM. This month, at different times in my lecture, randomly, I would ask them questions, what is your dream? And that would trigger a conversation. And I will collect all the information like, we want to buy a house for our parents. I want to take my parents for a foreign trip. Someone will say, I want to buy such and such car for my parents when I grow up. जो मेरी पहली salary या income आएगी, I want to do this for my parents. But you know, all dreams had parents in it. The problem is, वही parent घर पे बैठ के सोच रहा है मेरा तो बच्चा सबसे बेकार. Okay? So imagine the gap. So I collected this information from the children in the classroom. And in the PTM, I used to announce this. That आपको पता है आपके बच्चे आपके बारे में क्या सोचते हैं. And I've had parents and children crying and getting out of that PTM. So we have to create that space where everyone can feel comfortable talking about what they think without being judged or being scolded. So parents will have to create that space. And habits, of course, the good habits that they can develop for the better future is, as I said, reading for the child. That will help the child stay away from many negative things. And of course, boost their academic performance also. the language issues and challenges that the children face later in their life, they will not face that if they are good readers. Their thought process will develop, their perception for this world will be much better. And any other activity where they can come together will be like, say, for example, you sit together and have one meal in a day, like having the dinner together. Now what happens is, can you have that dinner in silence and enjoy it? No. So we will have to come up with common topics where it is relatable for everyone. So maybe it can be politics, like you said, if the children are grown-ups. It can be politics. It can be science fiction. It can be aliens. It can be mythology. Whatever. So every family will have to choose their own topics, have to identify, discover which is that topic where everyone can connect. And then have those moments. Have your time. Prepare a ritual sort of a thing. So if you're, focusing on having dinner together, okay, what are we going to discuss today? So give everyone a task.
Pre-decided topics.
Sorry?
Pre-decided topics.
Yeah, even that can be the case. And also you can, say there are 6 people in the family sitting together for dinner. Every one day, one person has to start with a topic. All the other 5 are going to wait, ye kya topic leke aayega ya aayegi. That can be the case. So there are so many ways to, start dialogue.
Thank you. It was really great pleasure to have you over here with us. We enjoyed the conversation a lot. We learned a lot about our parents itself. And after seeing podcast, maybe our parents would learn about ourselves also. And it would lead us to a great bond between us.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it a lot.